Good morning and happy Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. You're watching the Daily Mix TV. Hi, my name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm sorry I haven't been around, guys. This bronchitis, it is bronchitis, unfortunately. It's not the flu. Has got me pretty bad, so it's been a long couple of days, and just trying to catch my breath, but there's just so much going on, and I've gotten so many messages from you guys about doing an episode, so figured while I have the energy this morning, I'd at least crank one out. On to the news. With the pandemic, live entertainment became all but extinct. As an example, in the music business, up to 90% of most musicians' income is derived from touring these days. Well, at least pre-pandemic. So the fact that we've not had any concert tours or events at live venues for these acts has created a serious financial black hole for a lot of artists and those in the industry. Remember, that includes production staff, live venues as employees, ticket sellers, concessionaires, all of those things. Now, everyone had hoped for a comeback this spring or summer, but it's looking less and less likely every single day, especially with cancel culture in the mix. Artists and their teams are torn on scheduling tours for fear of being slammed as a super spreader event. And cancel culture will go after you right away. Understandably, in this context, understandably. Add to that the reality that insurance premiums have skyrocketed, and you've got the perfect storm. I mean, think about this. No live events means concession stand employees, the staff who work at warehouses and commissaries that service those concession stands, and the staff that work both the merchandise booths and the counters, and many more who've been without work since last March. This affects all of those people. And now you've got various strains of the virus being reported in places like New York City that actually reinfect patients and infect patients who've had the vaccine. Folks, this pandemic is far from over. And, I have to say, yesterday or the day before, I was out on the street. The amount of folks who I see without masks on in New York City is incredibly alarming. And it seems to be increasing every day, not decreasing. Look, we're all tired of wearing, masks. We're all tired of being home and so on. But you know what? I'd rather be alive. I'd rather not have to breathe through a tube. And although right now I might need to breathe through a tube, given how bad bronchitis is. Anyway, my point in all of this, people, it's time to start acting like adults and stop behaving like petulant, tantrum-throwing children for the betterment of all. This pandemic is far from over, and we better learn that, but quick. All right, so we've talked about woke and cancel cultures and the impact that they're having on brands. Well, here's a bit of a twist. After 85 years, toy manufacturing giant Hasbro now plans to bring Monopoly into the disturbingly woke 21st century. The company's decided to update its 16 community chess cards in Monopoly, which featured outdated prompts such as winning a beauty contest, actually receiving a tax refund, or the now rarely seen bank error in your favor. Replacing them are more modern-oriented cards that speak to today's absurdly woke and are done to basically allegedly drive social awareness. So swaps could include a reward for, quote, shopping local all week, rescuing a shelter pet, or helping tend the community garden. But Hasbro isn't going to decide this. And what I believe is the only bright light into this absurd contemporization of a classic board game, they want players to decide which to include via voting. Quote, since Monopoly became a household name more than 85 years ago, the world has changed and embraced a new sense of community, particularly after the unprecedented year of 2020. With community being more important than ever before, this year is the perfect time to give fans across the country the chance to show what community means to them through voting on the new set of community chess cards. And that's Ann Leonardi, who is the marketing director at Hasbro. Now, other potential cards include rewards for visiting with an elderly neighbor, patronizing the school bake sale, or donating blood. Players may also be penalized for acting out of selfishness, such as finding a lost wallet and keeping it, or hosting a party but failing to recycle the waste. Fans can cast their vote for the cards they've seen on MonopolyCommunityChess.com through April 9th, with plans to debut the update this fall. So, all right, there's a lot going on here. Again, sorry guys, this bronchitis is just kicking my butt. So here's the deal. I'm all for updating, and modernizing to a degree. But the minute that you get away from the original intention of what community chest is, it does in fact become a cancel culture or woke moment. Now, granted, this is Hasbro doing this. This isn't an external source pressuring them. Now, what we're starting to see as a trend is a lot of companies getting out ahead of woke and cancel culture so as to avoid the negative press. In this case, Monopoly is getting a massive bump in publicity and fanfare from those woke and cancel culture groups. So from their perspective, that's great. From a Gen Xer or a baby boomer's perspective, even an older millennial's perspective, this might be taking it a bit too far. If I had been the brand director, I don't necessarily know that I would have swapped out the original classic community chess cards. I might have done a 21st century edition or a woke edition or something to that effect. Monopoly is known for having multiple versions of its classic board game. And a lot of that is either brand shifting into a partnership with an entertainment property like a Friends edition or something like that. Monopoly has launched hundreds of different variants over the years. So for them to actually affect change on the classic original level is a little disturbing as to the strength of cancel culture and certainly the fear that ensues. Some things never change, even amidst a pandemic. Candy remains the most popular Easter gift according to a survey by Numerator. Now, there are a lot of things going on right now that are affecting Easter, which is only a couple of weeks away. And typically candy, yes, is the top draw for Easter at retail and convenience and chain drug. Here lies the problem, though. In Valentine's Day, we saw a significant drop in candy purchases. And given the weight that Americans have gained during the pandemic, I don't necessarily know that confection makers are going to see the kind of volumes they're used to. So 90% are planning to purchase candy for Easter 2021. That's down slightly from 93 or 94% for prior years. Now, the consumer survey found that 60% of consumers will either stay home or limit contact with others this Easter due to COVID-19 concerns, gatherings being down over 40%. 22% said their holiday plans are unaffected by the pandemic. Here's where marketing can help you. As a company, as a brand, as a startup, you want to get a point of difference out. You want to be able to illustrate why your products are so important, why your brand is important, those kinds of things. When you look at Easter, marketing should be telling you what to do. Operations should be working with marketing in order to help pivot those messages. And certainly from a logistics standpoint and an operational standpoint, perhaps your distribution. Maybe it's direct to consumer instead of relying on your retail channels solely. There are a lot of different ways that can play out. Now, I've seen a number of very smart marketing programs over the last month pushing out against candy, pushing out against the ice cream season, which is coming, and it's coming quickly. As a matter of fact, I've seen more ice cream announcements this year than I have in the last decade. And it's awesome. But when you get into a seasonal transaction, which is what that is, you've got a power period of the summer for ice cream makers, late spring, early fall. And that's a limited time of the year. Candy is a completely different animal because it is a staple throughout the year, regardless of what time of year it is. Yes, they have power periods. Valentine's Day, Easter. I mean, we've talked about this before. So when I look at what's going on with candy for this Easter, a lot of manufacturers drop the ball in terms of finding alternate distribution. Now, typically, you've also got toys, you've got clothes, you've got beauty products, those kinds of things. All of them are trending down right now. Every single one of them. Why? Because there's not a lot of money in the market. Yes, the stock market keeps going up, but it's the everyday person out on the street who's got less and less cash, which is why, the government's pushing out a stimulus package. We're now hearing rumblings that the Biden administration wants to put out a $3 trillion spend on infrastructure and employment. So, look, I'm not going to get into the politics of this. It's very simple. And again, I'm really sorry about my voice, guys. It's very simple. At the end of the day, if manufacturers and retailers came together to fight the shortcomings of what's going on in the consumer market because there isn't a lot of money, then we would be able to see higher volumes of sales. Instead, what's going to end up happening is, just like we did with Valentine's Day when I showed that to you, where, on the day after Valentine's Day, stock was down 50% on sale. Then a couple of days later, it was down 75% on clearance. The same exact thing is going to happen with Easter. So hopefully I'm wrong and, I'm being a little too negative because I don't feel well. Only time will tell. All right, guys. So this is a fun one. Yesterday I'm scanning on Facebook, just poking around because really, what else can you do when you're sick besides watch TV? I've had this damn bronchitis for days, and it's just going to keep going. So anyway, I ran across a story my friend Aly Walansky wrote for website allrecipes.com. Now, I've talked about Aly before. Total rock star. She writes for a ton of publications. Very talented writer. Incredibly sweet, fun, very smart woman. Love interacting with her. Now, here's the deal. The question is, could we be any more excited? So Serendipity, the iconic New York dessert restaurant famous for, their frozen hot chocolate, they have several deals out in the market for their own private label, or their own label, Serendipity ice creams that are in the frozen section at convenience stores and, supermarkets, things like that. They've actually got 4 new ice creams that are in partnership with Warner Brothers as a tribute to decades of favorite movie and TV shows, including Friends. So the ice cream brand, as I said, they partnered with Warner Brothers for a Friends-inspired ice cream called Central Perk Almond Fudge. Features chocolate-covered almonds and fudge swirls in a mocha almond fudge ice cream. Of course, Central Perk is the name of the coffee shop the gang hung out in the series. Now, other upcoming flavors include ice creams inspired by the Goonies, Caddyshack, and A Christmas Story. Quote, Friends is a pop culture classic that we couldn't be more thrilled to create a special flavor for. Our Central Perk almond fudge flavor is nostalgia in a pint that makes you feel like you're with your 6 best friends indulging in a sweet treat at a coffee shop. And that's Sal Pesci, who's the president and COO of Serendipity Brands, made in a statement to the press. The Friends Central Perk Almond Fudge and the Goonies Sloth and Chunk Rocky Road are available online at serendipitybrands.com and select grocery stores nationwide right now. Guys, I'm sorry. Thankfully, this is the last story for the day. Aly, thank you for this story. I absolutely love it. The thing about partners and partner brands, which we've talked about a lot lately, when you saddle up with a brand or a company like Warner Brothers, who has so many different properties. I mean, you get into TV shows like Friends, you get into movies like The Goonies, you think about classics like A Christmas Story, and certainly Caddyshack, all right? And remember, we talked about this before. Nostalgia is trending through the roof right now. So for this to come at this time is incredibly smart from a strategy point of view. It gets the noise out on Serendipity. And after all, isn't that why you do this kind of programming as a brand like Serendipity? To get your name out there to a larger audience, to drive volumes of partner product. That way your revenues go up, your cost of goods stays relatively low, and you're able to gain the ancillary benefit of noise about your brand, street talk. So, love this. Can't wait to taste it. Aly, again, thank you for a fabulous story. All right, guys, I'm out of time, and I'm also out of breath. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. If you have any questions, comments, or story ideas, please email thedailymixtv@gmail.com. Hopefully, we will be here for Hump Day tomorrow. It's all going to depend on what happens with my chest. I'm going back for another doctor's appointment today just to make sure that everything is all right. We'll see you soon.